Now, we'll have a health talk on COVID-19, and we want to welcome Dr. Dayo David Ajibade of Brain and Body Foundation, Abuja, to give this health talk on COVID-19. Please a round of applause for him.
Good morning, everyone. All protocols duly observed. I do want to say a big thank you to the NBC for this opportunity, especially Mrs. Franca Ayetu and her team, who have worked very, very hard, and of course, Mrs. Folake Ehile. Thank you again. So I've been told I have only 7 minutes, so we're going to make this as to the point as possible. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed a lot of things. We're now talking more about multiple pandemics. We think about, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the financial crisis. We're also talking about the mental health crisis. We're even looking at things like sex abuse, home abuse, sex abuse among young children. It's a very, very big problem. But in spite of the size and the enormity of this problem, the fundamentals, in my opinion, must remain the fundamentals. We cannot lose sight of the fundamentals and how that affects how we think, how we behave, how we organize as a country. And it's also very important that we realize that because we're in a black nation, we need to understand that there are certain things that we as black people, and Nigeria being the #1 black country in the world, we need to understand some things that we must take into careful account when it comes to our health as a nation. And I think nothing is more important than the immune system, and COVID-19 has brought that to light, probably more than anything else, that the importance of your immune system is critical, not just when it comes to infectious diseases. It's critical when it comes to brain health. It's critical when it comes to other forms, other conditions. And I'm going to quickly look at these things and kind of show you what it is. There are two main things that COVID-19 has pointed out: immune incompetence and immune dysfunction. And I'm going to show you that with a diagram real quick. So here we have in front of us a diagram, and there are 3 stages. You see the numbers on the top. What COVID-19, let's start with the first part, stage 1. So face masks prevent against the COVID-19 coming upon your body, on your person. So you face masks, social distancing, all the things that we're supposed to do, but that's just the first step. Thankfully, only 80% of those who contract the virus develop mild symptoms. Thankfully, 80% develop the mild symptoms like cough, catarrh, loss of smell, loss of taste, loss of sore throat. And thankfully, within a week, that's all over. Now, those who are immunocompromised, or those who don't have a robust enough immune system, progress to stage 2, where it gets to the lungs, and it causes all kinds of problems, from chest pain to fever and malaise. Fortunately, some of these still recover. Now, the worst part is really when it becomes systemic, and we see that up there, 6%. 6% have this systemic problem. And COVID-19 is called the Great Invader, and it's not without reason, because it attacks so many parts of the body. And it's not really the virus itself that causes the damage. And this is what brings us to the importance of the immune system. It's a person's own immune system. That volume, somebody says I need more volume. Okay, is that better? It is the person's own immune system that causes the damage, not the virus itself. Just like a matchstick is not what causes a total brush fire. It's a person's. Sure. Okay. All right. Can you hear me now? All right. So it's a person's own immune system that causes the damage. And so that's very, very important that we need to look at. Let me quickly go back here. So I show some nutrients at the bottom here, vitamin C and zinc, vitamin C and zinc. We're seeing that these are so important. The whole thing about the hydroxychloroquine, you all heard about it. There's this huge controversy about it. It's not the hydroxychloroquine that does the work. It's the zinc that does the work of destroying the virus. What hydroxychloroquine does is that it opens the door for the zinc to do what it needs to do. And so it's unfortunate there's been such a big rage about it. In Nigeria, until recently, they were still using hydroxychloroquine and zinc in their isolation centers. So I want to talk about dealing with this last stage, which is the death and the system being COVID-19 being a systemic invader, I feel the nutrient that is particularly important to us black people that I don't think we're giving enough attention to. This nutrient, it regulates over 2,000 genes in the body, which means that it affects a lot of things, most especially immune function, bone strength, muscle strength, and a few other things. Those who are deficient in this gene, those who are deficient in this nutrient, remember we said it affects over 2,000 genes. Those who are deficient in this nutrient tend to have lower back pain. Women have more fibroids, frequent malaria. I know patients who, if they keep telling me they have malaria every month, I say check your nutrient status, levels of that nutrient, and that nutrient is vitamin D3. Remember I said specifically D3, I didn't say D2. And what vitamin D3 does in this whole COVID-19 palaver is that it addresses what is known as the cytokine storm. Everybody say that with me. Cytokine storm. That's good. Again, cytokine storm. Better. And what studies around the world have found out is that those who have the lowest levels of vitamin D, this is around the world, those who have the lowest levels of vitamin D are the ones more likely to have the more severe form of the disease. And they are more likely to die. And we're talking about over 95%. So back to this picture. What vitamin D has been shown to do is that it helps to suppress, helps to regulate, because its main function, one of its main functions, is to regulate the immune system. It helps to suppress the cytokine storm, which eventually is what kills most patients. So who is at risk of the deficiency? Well, if you're looking, I think everybody here is dark-skinned. So let me just put it this way. If you're not a farmer, if you're not working out in the fields for long hours in a day, if you're not a street hawker, you are most likely, if you're not cognizant of this fact, you are most likely to be deficient. And so some of these, I've mentioned some of these other things. Diseases are also a big factor, diabetes. I point to the big four. I'm trying to rush. I point to the big four because we're looking at hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, and of course, if you have a lung condition. These are the big four that make you more susceptible to a severe form of the disease. If you're not out in the sun regularly, please try and check your vitamin D levels. It's a very, very good bet that you're low in vitamin D. I mean, I work with executives, and almost without exception, they have low in vitamin D. Why? They go from AC to AC to AC to AC. All right, so we need to be aware of this. In conclusion, I want to say this, that this may not be the last pandemic. We hope it is, but we can only hope it may not be the last one. There will be other problems, there will be other infections, there will be other health crises. But the basics we need to remember, that the basics will always be the basics. And it behooves us as leaders, behooves us as a nation to think about focusing on the basics, think about strengthening the immune systems of our population. Because when the vaccine comes, and hopefully we'll get to it, then everybody, it will be an add-on. It will not be the be-all, end-all. But the immune system will always be here to stay. So with that, I want to leave you. Again, I want to say thank you to the NBC for this opportunity. God bless.